Looking for a better sleep? Try Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers and get 7 forms of magnesium in each capsule. Click the link in the description or pinned comment to save 10%. Andy, welcome to the podcast. How you doing today?
Jesse, thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's my pleasure. Like we talked about before we hit record here, you've been traveling a little bit and getting out and about. So how's that been treating you?
You know, I've been cooped up for a little bit and I've been missing my family and my loved ones so much. And if I get the opportunity to travel and just kind of, explore and, get those creative juices flowing a little bit and just get back into that creator mode, it's so important to me because, no matter where you are, just getting the movement and the daily, just seeing different places and learning new streets and just traveling. That's for me, life experience really leads to just opening up that creative mind, which for me really helps with the products I create. Just switching up my location for me just really, sets a tone for my creative mind and really helps me create the products that I love to create.
That makes sense. And I know you only got back a couple days ago. You're back at home, back in the grind. Do you feel like your creativity has been reset and you're in the flow?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the perfect word right there. You know how it is, just getting in that flow state, whatever, just part of routine. Ever since I can remember being an athlete, it's just we had this recipe that for me led to success. That starts as soon as you wake up in the morning, setting your intentions for the day. I'm a very grateful individual. So I say a little prayer and, take some time for myself, about 10 minutes before I open myself up to the world. I actually learned that from a guest of yours on your podcast, Matthew McConaughey. And it just really makes so much sense. Before you open up your phone, before you turn on your laptop, just make sure that you're ready for the world, and setting that intention for the day. For me is so important. And then I go outside and I hop into my ice cold saltwater pool, ozone filtration, no chlorine, by the way. But, and I sit in there for 90 seconds and then I just hop in 2-minute cold shower. And then I'm telling you by about 6:30, I'm making my coffee and I'm good to talking to FaceTime and mom. And that's just what I do to get back into that flow state that you're talking about. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Getting that week with my dad, going on that road trip, being around someone and doing something together for the first time, it just really just filled my heart and my soul to seriously get me back into that flow state that really I love to be in. I'm sure you do too.
Oh, for sure. That's so great and so necessary. And I'm just curious, we're going to get into a lot of the different things that you do to maintain your health and well-being. You just mentioned, getting in the cold pool and then getting in the cold shower. And there's a lot of that we're going to dig into later on. But I'm curious, when did you first get into health and wellness and fitness? How did that all begin?
That's a great question. So in high school, let's see, I was 15 years old. I had my coach, Stu Peterson. He played in the major leagues for the Dodgers, Blue Jays for a little bit, baseball. And he just instilled a work ethic into me. He challenged me. He's like, there's somebody out there working just as hard as you right now, if not harder. And it instilled like this sense of urgency and this fear of being outworked, right? And so they're 24 hours in a day. After practice, I'd hit with him for 90 minutes. Then I go across the street to Stanford Stadium and run stairs because they'd have the lights on. Then I come home, crush a meal, and then do these little hand-eye coordination exercises with baseballs. It's really weird. But the ceiling, I tried to nick the ceiling and I'd have to get 10 out of 10. It just became obsessive, but that obsessive mindset, I really strongly believe that just leads to discipline and focus and just expecting that perfection. But if you seek perfection, you I guess fall a little bit short. You're still up there in the stars, you know what I mean? And so I really, ever since, I can remember having that importance of focus on work ethic and discipline. It encompasses all things health. And so it's everything that you put into and onto your body. That was instilled at a very young age for me. And it led to me that discipline every single day, staying in on the weekends and just focusing. I still am obsessed with sports. Been an athlete my entire life, football, baseball, and basketball. played in the Junior Olympics a year after that, was on one of the top 100, was one of the top 100 sophomores in the country at 16 as a sophomore. And I started to get recruiting letters from schools all around the country, USC, Miami, Arizona State, all the top schools because of, I performed well in the summer, which is when all the coaches who coach during the spring, they get their chance to recruit potential, prospects to their school and professional scouts as well. And so I really started, you get those victories and you play against the best competition in the country, and you start to build confidence. And so then you stay consistent with that routine of just optimizing your health and optimizing your workouts and optimizing your recovery. I mean, when I was 16, that led to just, improving into my 17-year-old year, my junior year. And then I knew where I was going to school going into my senior year, and signed a letter of intent to UC Berkeley. But then I go into Cal at a Pac-10 school at the time. I'm wearing 168 pounds. I'm 6'3", so I had to put on weight to compete with other, large, athletes, the best athletes in the country playing a game. In my opinion, the hardest game to play, baseball. And when you have to square up a baseball coming at you 90 plus miles an hour, and you want to be able to compete with the best competition, you have to put on weight, get stronger, get faster. And so just with that, just mentality of improving daily. Nutrition goes hand in hand with that, focusing in on putting on good weight, not bad weight. And that's tough to do when you're eating dorm food and, experimenting with supplements like creatine, and also your hormones are racing. And so that also led into some bad skin. And so I was putting on weight. I gained 23 pounds, was up to 191, which is great. But at the same time, my skin was kind of freaking out a little bit, and I was getting cystic acne, and that actually led into my interest in skincare. But yes, like you said, it just health and wellness, especially when attached to things like athletic performance. I mean, they just go hand in hand. And so ever since I was 15, I've just been obsessed with things like, you go from protein, fat, and calories, putting on weight, the main three. But then you want to put on good weight, and then you start focusing on good protein, good calories, good fats to put in your body. And then year over year, it just started to get better with that attention to detail and putting the best into and onto your body in an effort for optimal health.
You mentioned a coach that really instilled that mindset in you at a young age. How old were you at the time when he was telling you, there's somebody out there working just as hard as you? Was
I was
that in your early
15.
teens? Oh, you're
I was
15. Okay.
15. Yes. And it scared me because number one, well, I mean, it instilled like this sense of urgency. I wouldn't say scared, but it made so much sense to me. Someone out in North Dakota right now, he's working while you're sleeping. He would have these talks in my driveway after, hitting for 90 minutes after practice for about, sometimes an hour with the car running in my driveway, instilling this mindset, this athlete mindset of just discipline, focus, and just developing a routine. And then also having that, just really focusing on a mindset of, just even keel, keeping the highs low and the lows high, just having that mentality. As a baseball player, you fail so much. I mean, if you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're in the Hall of Fame. A 300 hitter is very rare these days. And so, you have to deal with a lot of adversity and a lot of failure, but I wouldn't trade it, because that's really helped my mindset with business as well. And also just life.
And do you ever think back to, that coach and instilling that in you at such a young age? If that wouldn't have happened, do you think you naturally would have found your way, to the success in baseball and now business that you're achieving? Would that have happened either way, or do you think this coach at that time was integral to you being where you are today?
I say that all the time. Every year, every Father's Day, I call my dad and I call Stu about 5 minutes later. He one of the most prominent male figures in my life, period. And that work ethic led to success in baseball, which led to achieving my dream of achieving a baseball scholarship out of high school, which it was just so far away from reality, according to a lot of other people, but realistic. And I just stayed away from that mindset and that mentality. And I just focused on, what I could control in the work that I put into something that I loved so much. And also having that encouragement from a former major leaguer, that's all I needed to hear. And if he said I had a chance, that's all I needed to hear. And I just took that and ran with it. And what he said, I did. He had the recipe to success. He had done it before. And why wouldn't you listen to that? And so I just, man, that's a great question. I would not be where I'm at right now had I not met Stu Peterson. Yeah. It was really cool. You know what? His son Jock, I would babysit in exchange for him teaching me how to hit. His son Jock is an all-star outfielder right now for the Chicago Cubs. I used to babysit his kids, him, Jock Champ, Tiger, and JC, while him and Shelly went out on their Wednesday dinner to his wife. And so it was cool, just in exchange for some, to learn how to play the game the proper way, and also just learn the mentality, which has, like I said, has just stuck with me since then. Very, very grateful for it. I actually just saw them, recently. Just talked to them. Yeah, it's great.
So, Andy, when you're a teen, when you're early in college, is your plan at that time to make the major leagues?
Yes, absolutely. Ever since I can remember, I've been recording Sports Center, Baseball Tonight, and just analyzing swings, analyzing mechanics as pitchers. I was a two-way player. I was a pitcher and an outfielder. And it's, yeah, I mean, you have those dreams, and I had my opportunity, had the private workout at AT&T Park with Brian Sabian, Larry Baer, Peter McGowan, two other outfielders, three players total, all the cross checkers, at a stadium that I used to go to games to ever since I can remember, at AT&T Park, and watching the San Francisco Giants play. But, the thing is, I had a great career. I love it, but I filled that void with other things that luckily I was able to find something that filled that void, because a lot of athletes can, end their careers. And I mean, that is hard to replace when you are an athlete, or, especially if you're a star athlete, or it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're missing that routine, that work that you're putting into towards a goal. I mean, a lot, and especially if it's your livelihood, it can be crippling and lead to depression for a lot of athletes. So I'm very grateful that I found something that I'm so passionate about to
Yeah, I
replace
can
it.
see how that would happen. So, when did your baseball career end? Was it after college, or did you continue to pursue it afterwards?
Yeah. So after college, get this. So Fred Costello came out to my high school. He was a Western regional cross checker for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He worked me out. I couldn't have performed better. He just thought I was a little old, which I was at the time. And so there I am in Palo Alto, 2 weeks at home, living with the parents. And I just decided I was a little, I was ready to move on. So I had spent the previous summer in Los Angeles, working at Abercrombie and Fitch, just getting to know the area, living with a friend. And he had always invited, he's like, hey, anytime, after college or something like that, you always have a place to stay. And so I brought a food town down to Los Angeles, and luckily I was working for Abercrombie, and I just was so scared to not be able to afford how to live. And so I just got every job that I could. I was working at catering, I was bartending, I was modeling a little bit, just as I didn't have an agent or anything like that at the time. And also working at Abercrombie, just trying to pay bills. And luckily he wasn't charging me rent, so I didn't have that to worry about. But he was he was an actor, and he was auditioning for a baseball related film. And I was just fresh out of baseball. And so I was kind of, when you don't care about certain things, you don't really overthink it. And I just was I was nailing his lines and kind of giving him little nuances of ball players and how to talk. And he's like, man, you ever thought about doing this? And I'm like, well, I mean, I've never taken classes, Billy. Like, what do you mean? He's like, man, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really, I hadn't either when he was saying he hadn't either when he first got into it. And so long story short, he got me a read for the role that he was auditioning for. I got another call back. I screen tested and ended up booking that lead role in a feature film called Great American Dream, where it was a baseball related film. And we shot for 6 weeks in Los Angeles. And, as a lead role in a baseball related film, I got that hunger again and that fire to play baseball again. And so I actually started working out with Beverly Hills High School in an effort to go back and play independent professional baseball in a league called the Golden Baseball League. And so that winter, I was supposed to report for winter ball. I think it was January, late January, and I booked a small recurring role on Days of Our Lives that Friday. Okay, so after filming, I got representation, got a manager, an agent, and everything. And so that late January, I booked a role for Days of Our Lives. And so that whole weekend, and I was supposed to go off to Palm Springs for winter ball that Monday. And I just remember meditating out at this place called Runyon Canyon, and just kind of trying to decide like which dream do you go forward with, right? And so I stayed in L.A. You know, the thought of 13-hour bus rides and making $850 a month and living with a host family and eating PBJs and stuff like that didn't really, wasn't that attractive to me. And so I just kind of, man, I was like, here's my chance. It was my sister's favorite show too, Days of Our Lives. And so I stuck around LA, and that year turned out to be a really, really exciting year for me in the entertainment industry. And so I feel like I made the right choice. But yeah, that's how it all translated from baseball into a career in the entertainment industry for a little bit. Yeah.
Nice. And how long did you stay in entertainment?
Yeah. In 2011, I had my big accident where I was crossing the street. There was a SAG and after strike in 2008, 2009. It started to lighten up a little bit in 2010. Work started to pick up, but during that strike, there was a big economic kind of depression in the entertainment industry. I mean, there was no work. The whole production companies were shutting down. A lot of my friends had to move home because I mean there was just nothing available, no auditions. But I was still, able to work on the little auditions that there were. But then, yeah, that accident in 2011. I mean, I'm just crossing the street as a pedestrian. I got hit by a westbound heading vehicle, lost consciousness, and I got hit in the eastbound lane, run over by a Toyota Tundra. Both cars pulled over, clothes cut off me in the middle of the street, and so that put a halt on my career for a little bit, but that's what got me into everything is my hunger to get right back into it. And so that's what I couldn't afford the creams and the serums that my surgeons were recommending that I use to heal the scarring and abrasions that I had. I mean, I was unrecognizable. I had massive swelling on the left side of my face. My front three teeth were a complete nut, they were gone. They were just little nubs, and my jaw was wired shut. And so I had to tell my agent that, yeah, I'm gonna be out of work for a little bit. But I didn't tell my San Francisco agent. And I had a job for Macy's in June. And so I made it, this is March 20th. So I made it a little outside goal of, seeing if I could make it. And if not, if I wasn't even close, I would let them know, a couple weeks beforehand that I wasn't going to be able to. And I'm sure they could replace me. But just staying, extremely focused and disciplined on this routine and just becoming a voracious researcher on ingredients and blood flow and circulation and exfoliating and nourishing the skin cells that you just exfoliate, or the fresh skin that you just exfoliated off, and just the whole cell turnover. I mean, I just became obsessed with skincare and accelerating scar tissue, mitigating swelling, accelerating the healing of abrasions, and just naturally though, without any synthetics, without any, which are now I'm finding out government recognized carcinogens and ingredients commonly located in those scar creams and those serums that are very expensive and have a little bit of an active ingredient, but man, I just strongly believe they're counterproductive overall to the health of your skin.
Well, I definitely want to get into the specifics of what you did to heal. But first, talk about you said this protocol that you used was natural. I'm curious, along your journey, how deep into natural health were you at that point when you had your accident?
That's a great question. So my freshman year at Cal, remember when I was telling you I had I was starting to break out a little bit, and I couldn't. I mean, it was kind of crippling. The last thing you want to see when you wake up, you go, you look in the mirror and you have like this. I would get cystic acne, and they're little sores that they never come to a point of an infection where you can remove it, and those things will stick around always a week, and then you pick at them, and it was so frustrating. I felt like I was looking back, even at the time. I'm like I was eating dorm food, a lot of wheat, a lot of sugar, dairy, and also with hormones racing, growing into my body, and then the supplements that I was taking, it just didn't. It wasn't a good recipe. It was a disaster, a recipe of disaster for my skin apparently. And so I started studying the products that I was using, which were Neutrogena, yeah, Claricel, and their ingredient decks were just thick with things that I even back then, I was like, well, it just made sense to me that it just did not sound clean, did not sound right. So I went from and did a little research on I mean, I was 18, no, 19 at the time. And it just made sense to me. The less ingredients, the healthier. And so I went from Neutrogena, Clearasil to Dove. Dove had 5 ingredients. One of them was like a coconut derived surfactant. And I just reading coconut, it to me at 19 years old, it just sounded better. It sounded natural. And the fact that they only had 5 ingredients, and I use that from head to toe. My skin cleared up a little bit better. And year over year, and, well, actually, there was a sweet herbalist, this lady. She had a little shop on Shattuck Avenue in Berkeley, and I just went in there, picked her brain. She probably had, what's this guy has so many questions, but it was clearly evident that I had a passion for health and wellness. I mean, I just geeked out at this tiny little herbal store in Berkeley, California. Shoot, I wish I could remember, but that's when I found out about things like horsetail for hair, and so, and how, how it's, there's such a high concentration of silica and just building blocks, and the hair follicle. I just became, yeah, that's where the passion, I guess, started when I was 19 years old in Berkeley, California. But year over year, it just became, yeah. I mean, that's where it started. But year over year, it just became better. Became better. The products I used became cleaner. Became, things like Whole Foods and Air One's local grocery store in Los Angeles. I mean, the health and wellness stores is where I really started to. I mean, I really, it's funny. My family and I have a running joke. I'm at home and like really, really good at health and wellness grocery stores. You can find me in a supplement or cosmetic aisle for, I mean, an hour, just kind of just geeking out on ingredients. And that's ultimately, seriously, it had a large part in how I formulated my products by removing things that I didn't like and seeing what other brands kind of left in, and went, man, this would be so good if they just didn't have that filler, or harsh preservative, or a hint of fragrance, or it's just, there's so much out there. And so that ultimately led to isolating certain ingredients and experimenting with certain active ingredients as well, and then combining them, and ultimately leading to creation of what's now a product. But I never had an intention to make a product or anything like that. I just wanted to heal myself, and I used myself basically as my own science experiment.
Yeah, Andy, I can totally relate to the geeking out of Whole Foods. My wife and I are the same way. We just love, getting in there and connecting with the people that are into that same mindset.
Yeah.
And just to make sure I have this timeline right, so around 18, 19, you start to have the breakouts, which kind of gets you looking at different ingredients in the products you're using. And it sounds like from that point forward, throughout your, I guess, 20s, you became more and more meticulous and got into the health and wellness space. How old were you when you had that accident?
I was, let's see, I just turned 29. I was going to turn 30. Yeah, so 2011. So I was, yeah, just going into my 30th year.
Got it.
Yeah. What's
Got
that?
it. So that point you were pretty into health and wellness space. Like you mentioned Whole Foods, like you were eating Whole Foods and you were embracing the whole healthy lifestyle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So get this. So in college, you know, things like Men's Health magazine really help. I mean, that's just one of the things that you read: eat this, not that, and just staying away from grains. It became more. It made sense to me at 23. Just all right, stay away from the breads, and that, So the low carb appeal. I mean, geez, I'm 39. 17 years ago. 17 years ago, I was already kind of just interested, and it made more sense to stay away from grains and carbs. So I would go. My teammates would make fun of me, but I was in really good shape. And so like at the dorm food aisle at St. Mary's College, that's where I ended up graduating from. I go to the spinach and the tuna and a little bit of fruit at that time, and, cantaloupe. And then it's because, I read that in Men's Health magazine. And then my teammates, would come over every now and then, because some of them, gave me a hard time about it, but then they go, hey man, you mind writing up a little something for me? And so I started to write up diet plans for a few guys on my team. And just, it was kind of cool. It was a little victory that that someone would want you or consider you at a certain level to know enough to write something up for them. I mean, you're helping someone, and the fact they would reach out, I mean, it really was pretty heartwarming to me at the time. And I mean, looking back, it all makes sense as far as like what I'm so passionate, and what my purpose is passionate about, and what my purpose ultimately is, just to help people see, feel better about what they see in the mirror, and just feel better, overall about themselves.
So let's fast forward to 2011, come back to the accident. I want to talk about the specifics that you went through, internally, externally, how you helped your body heal.
Oh man. So After my there was about a week where all my sisters and my brother, my parents were all in this little 700 square foot apartment in North Hollywood. Well, they left, and I just it was a little lonely for that first day, but then it's just one of those things where you have to find a way. I mean, I'm not the world's not going to slow down for you, and I wanted to get back. I wanted to get back in better shape than I was before the accident. That was my ultimately, that was my goal. You know, a lot of people told me that I wasn't going to be back in the industry, and what was I going to do for my career? And I just have a hard time with that. I'm just a very competitive person, and I really like to challenge myself and work hard to get back. And I don't have a hard time with people telling me what I can't do, can and can't do, and I feel like I I decide that, and so I just really started to research a lot. I had a pre-existing clay mask that was the four clays: Russell, kaolin, bentonite, and I like clay, and then organic kelp powder and vitamin C that I would do every Sunday to prepare for auditions throughout the week. And so I knew I had that to create a lot of blood flow to the surface of the skin. And then I started experimenting with certain things like colostrum, American ginseng, and freshwater pearl powder that ultimately I would isolate. I did a lot of research on active ingredients. I would just experiment and isolate and then combine certain ingredients together and see if they blended well together, seeing if the emulsion and the particle sizing would disrupt the overall emulsion of the what is now the clay mask. But I just it became a creative outlet for me. I mean, I moved everything out of my bedroom into my living room and made my bedroom my little lab. I have a where I had maybe I don't know about 100, 200 pounds of all my nine raw ingredients, my inversion table, and it was a corner unit. And so I had like a nice view of these mountains, and it was all windows. And so I would hang upside down, listen to some calming music after doing some push-ups, waking up, and then I after that I'd put on the clay mask and then drink some bulletproof coffee and then and then working every hour of the day had a purpose to it. And so as far as movement and getting that circulation from head to toe, my jaw was wired shut, and so I wanted to get nutrients into my system. And I was on, and when I was in the ICU room and in the hospital actually for a week, that all I was drinking, and my friends would go out to Air One and get these cool green smoothies for me, but I was drinking Ensure, which is loaded in canola oil and 36 grams of sugar or something like that. And bless their hearts, it did have nutrients in it too, but I mean that was counterproductive, definitely to my overall health. And so as soon as I got back, I became very passionate with in research. I met with three different Chinese herbalists, George from Jing Herbs, Ron Tea Garden Herbs, Dragon Herbs here in Los Angeles, and then Crosby Taylor was very instrumental in my recovery. Sage Dammers, Truth Calkins. I don't know if you know any of them, but yeah, I mean, I just really picked their brain. I was a sponge to everyone just on that. People were so helpful, by the way. I just wanted to, get my zest back and get back on my feet and see how quickly I could recover and ultimately get back into better shape than I was before. And I've always believed in the power of nutrition, and in something like that. That accident will definitely accelerate your interest in seeking the best and recovering as well as I can. And there's just a lot of information out there, and I just did a lot of self experimentation in the process. Things like just pretty much everything that is extremely popular now and that I still do to this day. Things like not red light at that point, but absolutely the sauna was instrumental. Sauna, intermittent fasting, very consuming nutrient dense smoothies at that time. I mean, you're going to laugh, but there were egg yolks, deer placenta, bison liver, spirulina, colostrum, adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha, gynostemma, hoshu wu, schizandra, and then shaga, reishi. But I had that, and then a little bit of salt to help with mineralization, and silica just to help as a building block of collagen during that collagen synthesis process. And as cell turnover occurred with the exfoliating the clay mask and just what I consumed through that little spot at the back, because my jaw was wired shut, so I could just only drink that smoothie. but it was just something that I could feel the cells of my body just reacting to what I was putting into my body. And then also my skin and just overall, staying, after the sun went down, I'd go to Chandler Bike Path and I'd walk 3.5 miles there, 3.5 back, just to, get movement from head to toe. My ankles, my knees, my elbows were intact so I could do push-ups. Within a month, I was back sprinting up Running Canyon with my jaw wired shut. But I mean, it took big time discipline, but I mean, as an athlete, that's all we know. And so I had that in my back pocket. And I just, obviously, when you are rock bottom and in the worst shape, I mean, of my life, but I'm lucky to be alive. People, I mean, don't survive accidents like that. It's every time I drive by, I mean, I'm a very grateful individual, and I had perspective before that accident, but that accident accelerated that perspective and increased just how special this life is, and how important our body and our mind and how lucky we are to be here. And so I just, yeah, I absolutely needed that accident to rock me just into a focus, and it rocked me right into my purpose ultimately, you know?
Let's talk about how you were doing mentally at the time. Physically, your jaw's wired shut, you have broken bones and you're going through deep healing at rock bottom. And you're talking about now, the mindset of seeing the whole perspective and being, grateful for what you have. But at that time when you were at rock bottom, what was it like mentally?
At that time, it, walking out of Cedar Sinai Hospital, my nurse was a former Marine. He goes, hey, just so you know, anytime you can walk out of a hospital, it's a good day. He's like, good luck on your recovery. And I went, man, that set the tone right there. I got in the car. I'm like, man, he's right. I'm walking out. I'm not getting carted out. I mean, yeah, my jaw is broken. I have 7 broken ribs and a collapsed lung, and sneezing is excruciating, but I can walk. My elbows, my knees, and I just, I felt like I got lucky, extremely lucky. I had this, I don't know if it's like a part of the trauma that your body goes through, like the fight or flight, like as far as like the endorphins rushing, but I had like this really weird excitement and zest. Well, not, I wouldn't say zest, but this excitement to challenge myself to see if I could get back. I I felt like I had everything I needed as far as just with movement, exercise, staying extremely disciplined with, and I'd find a way as far as on the skincare side of things with mitigating that swelling. But as far as elbows, ankles, knees intact, that's movement right there. And I quickly just wanted to put together a plan and a recipe to heal as quick as possible, and I did that. Yeah.
One thing I'm
But as
gathering from
far
your
as
story.
but but you are right though. I mean, there were just mechanisms that I used. Healing music. You're gonna laugh. Sade. I mean, No Ordinary Love. Listening to that 7 minutes, hanging upside down, talking to my mom. After that, music to me is medicine, and just looking out in horizons, looking at that mountain, clearing my thoughts and just reminding myself how lucky I am to be here. I mean, these my bones were going to heal. I was just extremely grateful. Luckily, I lost consciousness, so I didn't have any, traumatic. Like I don't wake up and snap, up in the middle of the night from a nightmare. I'm so lucky, and I'm so grateful, and I'm like I have nothing to complain about. And so with that, you go back, and I have nothing but love and support and family to help me if I needed it. I just had everything I needed to recover, and I got lucky. I got a second chance in life, and there's absolutely nothing to complain about. You take that, and it motivates you to move forward at an accelerated speed. I'm just so happy to be alive, and I was. I didn't wallow around. I mean, I was a little lonely for, like I said, about a day or two. But hey, we got a chance. I can talk. Well, kind of. My jaw was hard shut, so I couldn't really talk that well. But I can move. I just I found a way to focus on the positive, and rather than what I didn't have, I focused on this happening for me, rather than to me.
One thing I'm really gathering hearing your story is all the different support you've had in your life. You've mentioned before we got on the call, like you just got back from spring training with your dad. You talked about hanging upside down and then calling your mom, and you mentioned the friends that would bring you smoothies when you're in the hospital. Talk about the support from others and how important that was, especially at that time when you were really down.
The support from others was, oh man, that gets me, yeah, a little emotional. I mean, I had friends come over, bring me, the smoothies that I used to, drive over the hill, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. It was just part of my day that I enjoyed and looked forward to doing. Just going and getting my smoothies. I mean, well, they would bring them to me. Who does that? I mean, how sweet is that? And just popping by, giving me support. Cause I didn't really want to leave the house. I mean, when you go to Trader Joe's, you go to Whole Foods, my little grocery store routine, once you open your mouth or try, hey, how's your day going? And then, they look you in the eyes and they look down and they see the swelling in your jaw. And then when you try to talk or smile or something, your teeth are gone. It's, yeah, I mean, especially, I used before that, I'd walked the runway for Calvin Klein, worked for Abercrombie, Levi's, Coppertone. So yeah, I mean, that was difficult to be completely unrecognizable to look in the mirror. But, you check your mind, you remind yourself that, hey, you're alive. It's not, that's, it really takes away from the ego, very humbling. And just you focus on what's important. And that's just, life, movement, you know, community, connection, music, food. I mean, I just, the things that really are important to me. And so, no, that's a really good question. I mean, that looking back, it was, yeah, it was very hard. And it was extremely hard especially, how about this? I severed a nerve on the left side of my face that controls communication from your brain to those muscles. So like if I smiled at the time, they reattached the nerve, and it was a little fuzzy, but it wasn't guaranteed that I would get full function back in that muscle. And so imagine this: when you're in a moment where you're out with friends and you want to smile, wanted to mitigate that because only one side of my face was showing up, and then also I had three front teeth missing. That was the hardest part for me, Jesse. It was just, in a moment where you want to show elation and happiness and smile and laugh. And I was so insecure about smiling because one side would only show up. And luckily over time, I don't know if you see it, I would try to cheat it a little bit and for a little bit. And luckily, yeah, I mean, years later, it's gotten better, but I'll never be the same, but I mean, geez, who wants to be the same? I want to keep growing and getting better and just evolve. And geez, I've changed so much for the pot and in the better after that accident. But that's a really good question. And I think you can, yeah, see how crucial that human emotion of just kind of embarrassment and can stick with you for a little bit. But I just, you can trick your mind. That's what I would do. A lot of self-talk, a lot of self-talk. I've met with a lot of mentors, done a lot of meditation, breath work. Perspective is huge for me. I focus on what I do have rather than what happened. I'm a positive individual. I really am.
Well, it's interesting specifically for you, Andy, because at the time of this accident, you were making a living based on your looks as an actor, as a model. And, to be physically, I'm sure you're going through a lot of pain at the time too, but physically, what you relied on to make your living was disfigured. You didn't have, your looks, which were paying the bills. So talk about, you specifically, how that was, maybe an extra layer on top of that.
It led to when I got told that well, you're never going to model again. I know a specific client who I was wearing their leather jacket that it was 101. It was a prototype for a shoot that I did for them a few weeks earlier. Well, I was wearing that jacket on on the night of the accident. And I went back to get another one because it was my favorite jacket. And he actually charged me for it and then said, well, you're never going to model again. What are you going to do? And I went, oh, just in my head, I just went, well, don't tell me never. But I needed that because that was a catalyst. I mean, I do thrive off motivation and I'd be lying if I said that didn't highly motivate me to prove him that I would be back in the game. And get this, so to the day, March 20th, 2012, I shot a 5-page spread for Entertainment Weekly with a cover option as Christian Grey for a story they did with E.B. White, I think is the author. Anyway, yeah, it was really cool. To the day, I'm at Smashbox Studios shooting for Entertainment Weekly. I mean, if that isn't serendipitous, with Art, shoot, what's his name? Art, he's a celebrity photographer. I'm just sitting there and I'm going, man, if this isn't serendipitous, it's like you know, man, it's just, I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. But that set the tone. And then that fall, I'm a guest star on a pilot called Hello Ladies that ended up getting picked up by HBO. And I'm back in it. I'm shooting national commercials. And then, you know, that momentum and those victories were absolute catalysts in just getting back. And it's like I was working more than I ever was before within a couple of years. And that it was through insane discipline and insane work and just a routine that it was obsessive for sure. But I mean, the happiness and the quote unquote accomplishment that led to confidence and led to me getting that zest back was worth it. And yeah, that's pretty much how I did, you know, what I did. Just some mechanisms and just, I mean, they're 24 hours in a day. And also just that motivation was constant just to get back into an industry that number one, I loved so much. And I just really felt like, you know, I was getting those little victories. It's like, hey, you know, cause that's when you're unrecognizable and you're kind of deformed and you're never going to be the same. Yeah, sure. There were doubts, but I mean, let's leave that up to other people to decide, but I'm going to put in 110% of everything that I can do to get back. And then either way, if I, you know, don't reach the goal, I know that I put everything into it, but I'm so glad I did. And yeah, that brought a lot of happiness back, which is just one of those things. It just led to that momentum of getting back to where I was.
Well, it seems like at the time of the accident, you had three key things going for you. One being the mentality you gain from sports and the drive. Two, you already had a baseline of health and wellness and you were in that world and you probably had a good baseline for your own health and knew what you could do to help heal quicker. And three, like we already talked about, the support from family and friends. So luckily you had a lot of things going for you. Obviously still a very traumatic situation for anybody, but luckily you had a lot in you, you know, it helped pull you back out of it.
Absolutely. You know, having that court, but also silence and solitude, Jesse. That really, I mean, it just clearing out my thoughts and being alone in my thoughts, and just it led to serious intrinsic motivation. You know, it's like all the doubt that I experienced in baseball. I mean, really, it's like I didn't get to where I was. I mean, I would do a lot. That's what I'm talking about, like that inner self talk that really kind of just pours a little gas on that internal, you know, those embers and turns it into an inferno daily. I mean, I would just, you know, that music. I mean, and then working out and then going, man, it's like I'm alive. You know, just staying focused, getting that momentum every single day, and then focusing on the positive rather than wallowing. I mean, I just can't do that. And yeah, having that support, but also though, a lot of it came from within. A lot of it came from within. I mean, it really did, you know?
And at the time of the accident, you were just making, was it just the mask at the time? And that was just for your own use, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'll never forget this. So Christina Rodriguez, a neighbor of mine, she had seen me in the ICU and I picked her up from the airport 2 weeks after the accident, and she did a legitimate double take. And I needed that at the time. And my teeth, obviously, once I smiled and started talking, that was what it was. But my abrasions were completely gone. My scarring, obviously, you can't mitigate scarring. I mean, it was a road rash, or not road rash, but it was kind of like a, you know, emergency room kind of chop job. It looked like railroad tracks right there on the side of my face, probably about 2.5 inches. But that right there, she was like, what? And I was a little hesitant to tell her what I was doing, obviously being a male and, you know, kind of, well, I'm making this mask. What do you mean this mask? Well, because it was one of those things that I definitely kind of kept on the back burner as a male in skincare, and also interested in cosmetics and just looking and feeling good. You kind of well, at the time it wasn't talked about that much between my friends and I. But I mean, so what I did is I went over there with a little backpack and a bottle of apple cider vinegar, lavender oil, and I mixed up a clay mask for her and her friend. And at that time, it was a little earthy. We had twice the amount of kelp powder, and but it's it had a earthy aroma to it. But the results were undeniable, and so they started telling their friends, and so I would drive around Los Angeles for about, I had nighttime work on the weekends, and so before I'd go to work, friends of friends, people I didn't even know, I would just show up with a little bamboo bowl and just handshake a clay mask in a plastic container and then mix it up for them and then all I wanted was just some feedback and a picture, and I would share that on social media as my little thing. I mean, I didn't have a name for it, I definitely didn't ever think this would be a product, but it was a little victory. And also I just wanted to see if other people were experiencing the same results and that I was, and they were. And so in doing that, it was kind of like my little beta testing. And I would just post the pictures of friends and using the mask. And so people would ask, and a friend of mine, Mary Halls, owned a med spa in San Diego. And she goes, "Honey, what's this mask that I want to try this out?" And so I drove down. She loved it. And so she tried it out on a few of her clients, and they loved it too. So they brought it on with no name, but as a nutrient dense, mineral rich clay mask. And so just to have a product on a treatment list at a med spa, that was very cool. So that was just getting, just, lining up those victories, and it kind of leads to validation that you may have something. A year after that, I reach out to I troubleshoot Dave Asprey's email address because I wanted to work for Bulletproof. At that time, their support contact was info@bulletproofexec. And I went, well, his name's Dave Asprey. So I went D.Asprey, Dave.Asprey, David.Asprey, David 10 different combinations, copy pasted the exact same email with a before picture of me in the ICU and an after picture of me working again, just going, "Hey man, like, I'm back doing what I love because of your products. Thank you." I wanted to work for Bulletproof. Well, one of those emails went through. His ambassador manager gets back to me, Jackie. They bring me on board as a Bulletproof ambassador, which is so cool. I mean, at that time I could barely afford the products as it was, and so here I am getting some products for free, and all I had to do was take a picture of it, and that was a little victory. Just like I said, just adding those up gets you back and feels good. And so about 3 months after that, they reach out and go, we love your story. We'd love to have you on as a guest at Bulletproof Radio. And so I go, because at that time it was like the number one podcast on iTunes. I think Jillian Michaels had one too. And there I was, sitting in Malibu on Skype with Dave Asprey. Someone I still do. I really look up to him and idolized him at the time. And so I was a little nervous, but I just kind of had a little, man, that was fun. We shot a podcast and pretty much just talked about how Bulletproof products accelerated my healing and really led to motivation to get me out of bed. Like, I hadn't drank coffee before, and then here I am mixing in cacao butter and cocoa powder and chocolate powder and cayenne and Ceylon cinnamon and stevia and grass-fed butter and MCT oil, and it just led to an inferno of motivation and just energy to just blast right through that hesitation that's near the surface. You know what I mean? Of going forward with what you want to do in the day. It just led to a ton of energy and motivation to knock things down at an accelerated speed. So I'm eternally grateful for Bulletproof and the products, and especially Dave Asprey. And so, but the last 10 minutes, he goes, "Well, this is a video podcast. I'm sure people out there will want to know what you did for your skin. How did you heal your scar?" And I went, "Oh no," because I didn't, want to let millions know that here I am working on this skincare product out of my house as a male. But luckily, split second, I just went, "All right, here we go. Maybe it can help somebody out there." And then just started going in on the ingredients and why I use them and how I combine them and how I isolated them and why I chose certain ingredients. and how I, went about the emulsion and why I chose what I chose. And he got such a response from, we both did. I didn't have a website up, didn't have a name or anything like that, but we both got such a response from that podcast. He flew down to Los Angeles and we met at Air One at that same grocery store that I was telling you about, where we get our green smoothies, and which is kind of serendipitous too. And on a napkin, we're just sitting there crunching numbers. How much does it cost to make this mask? And I didn't, have my cost of goods down or anything like that. But we went back and forth. We ended up partnering up, and June 26th, we had the Alatur Clay mask on his bulletproof website, which was pretty, oh man, that was pretty special. But I mean, what led up to that, Jesse? I mean, I'm telling you, I just had a surge of adrenaline because when you're given an opportunity, I mean, I just had a deadline to hit, and I just found a way. I mean, I got a 24-foot U-Haul, rented a mud mixer, bought a horse trough, bought 2 different kiddie pools. I mean, up in Malibu. I mean, I didn't really know how to put together this product that I was making out of at the time an apartment. But if we have to scale up to thousands of units, it's like, all right, well, what do we do? Because I couldn't find a co-packer that wouldn't radiate my clays. And so I just wanted, I had to do what I had to do just to get a product to Dave. And we did that. And the response was luckily very good. So traffic was driven back to finally we had a website. But man, it's just been organic. And I just stayed in the moment and kept that adrenaline that moved me and is carrying me through to this day. And listen to customers. We kept it simple. We just, get the order out is that day, have it show up a little bit sooner than they expected. Hopefully the response, to the product is positive. But man, at that time, before we had packaging, I would just drive around to Whole Foods with, and the little clear plastic containers that are meant for, olive oil, peanut butter, almond butter. Anyway, they don't even sell those, but at the time I needed packaging. And so I bought 50, bottoms, 50 lids. The manager came over. He's like, sorry, sir, we don't sell those. We came up with the price, 15 cents each, went over to, Kinko's, typed out in Times New Roman, Alatura. And then I typed in single space, a page long of directions, like in very specific, and then sent that off to Sweden, where, here I am. I'm filling up those little plastic containers, which are 16 ounces, which is twice what my formula is. And then I'm, charging half of what I'm charging now, and then sending to Sweden, which is $23 a ship. I was losing money, but at the same time, I was just in a moment and so happy to have a customer. And I think that's there's something to say for that, and that hasn't left. Just keep it simple. Treat your customers as a reflection of yourself. Get the order to them as soon as possible. Just make it right. As business owners, we have that capability. And then also with the product formulation, especially back then, there's a way to stand out, just by going a little bit above and beyond with your ingredient tech. And
I love that story.
Love
Love the grind. Let's talk about the early days, Andy. When you get your product up on Dave's site and you're trying to figure out all the logistics, I'm guessing it's just you behind the scenes. What were some of the greatest challenges getting that business off the ground?
Finding a co-packer, finding a trusted co-packer for my clay mask. My clay mask is everything to me. And I ended up going to 14 total. There were times where I would be in a room of white coats and I go, well, wait a minute, something's off with this formula. I, dip my index finger into the pearl powder, lick it. And I'm like, this is not Jing. I use Jing pearl powder. And I was like, can you show me the pearl? And of course they, found a knockoff that was, and that combined with the radiating of the formula, basically zapping it, taking all the life out of my formula. And then also not trusting the sourcing. My ingredients are extremely expensive. The 4-hour grass-fed colostrum has to be from Cheyenne, Wyoming, has to be from my source. Non-negotiable sourcing, is everything. And that's the thing with manufacturing is I understand it's all a business, but man, I'd rather do it myself every single day and have that trust knowing what's in my product than not. And so without question, finding trusted manufacturers for my children. I mean, for my babies, for my formulas, for my emulsions. I mean, you have to go in there. You have to meet them face to face. They have to feel your passion. And I do that with every single one of my manufacturers. We have seven different manufacturers, by the way, for our products, which is that's also, it causes some problems because of, we have a lot of customer supplied ingredients. I order my ingredients from all around the world, and a lot of them have different lead times. A lot of them have different, our essential oils have a curing process, a sun drying process. I mean, our essential oil blend that we use for our pearl cleanser is from the Amazon, and it takes 12 weeks to make. And so if we get a surge of orders, and we're out of stock. I mean, that's been an issue, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not going to change anything just to streamline production. I just can't. I mean, these formulas are sacred to me, and it's just staying on top of lead times when when you want to go outside and above and beyond, and when you want to go outside the box and go a little bit above and beyond with your ingredients, and you search for those diamonds in the rough located all around the world that people haven't heard of just yet. I mean, the creative process of that is what fires me up. I mean, that's what I love. And also you meet so many interesting people in the process of doing that from all over the world, like I said. So, I mean, that's, that it's a little bit more difficult in how I do it. But I mean, you create something that is just, you can sign your name. I mean, that's a work of art. It came from a blank canvas. I didn't have predetermined ingredient decks. I didn't just roll out a full line of products that, somebody had already signed off and tested for, and boom, now they just put Alitur on. No, these were one by one. Our moisturizer took 22 tweaks to make. That's 21 phone calls. I mean, 21 revisions to finally get it down. I mean, and the only reason it took so long is because, I mentioned this to them from the beginning, that I wanted it to be USDA certified organic. And then there were some certificates that they couldn't get. And so we had to start all over again after like revision 11. And so that's the only reason why it took so long. I know that may sound like, and it normally doesn't take that many revisions, but it's just I definitely know what I want. I have I guess, obsessive attention to detail, some would say, but it ultimately shows in the products that we make. And there's no better feeling, we have that control as business owners and as formulators. Why not just go above and beyond? I just,
Total integrity. I love
oh
it.
my gosh. Yeah.
And Andy, how far into the process, like again, since the beginning when you start really churning product out, how long does it take you to bring an employee on?
An employee on.
Yeah, like when do you start bringing other people on to help you with manufacturing and distributing?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, we have a staff of 4 right now, including me. Jesse, if I can do it, I will. It was me, and I finally brought on an employee in late 2015, and then 2016. Yep, Mitch, and then another one. So Rex came in. So we had 3 employees all the way through. But those are, Mitch handled orders. Rex helped me on the tech side with customer service. And then I handle, pretty much everything else as far as streamlining production, supply chain, orders, all of that, packing orders, helping with orders, assisting with customer service, FAQs, all of that, website development, emails, content creation, you name it. As far as with manufacturers, that, some of the med spas of, when you start to develop wholesale relationships, you get, certain estheticians that have worked with different formulators. That's how I met Susan Raffi, who comes highly recommended. And she helped me make my pearl cleanser. And so you get to know in the industry, certain formulators, certain trusted formulators and manufacturers. I just have been fortunate enough to just, you have to meet them face to face. You have to see their operation. You have to know their track record, who they've worked with. You have to love their story. Obviously, the consistency, you have to trust them. There's so much that goes into it, and but the consistency of the product and their turning of that product and lead times is the most important thing to rely on. Obviously, in a physical product business, and you need to know. But it does take a a very long time to find that manufacturer who really does get, because we don't do things like it. Every single person that we've gone into, that's why it has to be face to face. They have to just understand the why, number one, and just non-negotiable means non-negotiable. Like this ingredient deck does not change. These sources cannot change. And I have to trust you, like looking at, I have to trust you, I have to trust that you're not going to change that. And they have to see you face to face in person. And so that's how I do it. It does take a little bit longer, but I mean, they ultimately, we're friends now, cause they've been on those calls. They hear that non-negotiable, just passion. I mean, this is what I want as far how to be known. That's how I want to be remembered, and how I want my legacy to be is just, this guy's weird. He's obsessed, and he won't accept anything less than perfection. I mean, I know that sounds kind of obsessive, but I mean, it's just, it's all in our control, and it comes down to detail and doing your job right, and also caring. I really, that's why you explain the story, and a lot of people, once you explain how special this is to me, and I mean, just it's a lot different than just a business. And they have to see that, and so the manufacturing part, because you're passing on a formula that you worked so hard on to develop to someone else who may or may not. I mean, it's not theirs, and so if I could, I would, and who knows, maybe down the road we'll have a big plant where we can oversee all that. That's actually a dream of mine. And but yeah, you're right. It's a very difficult process, and it's like I don't know, like handing off your kids to a babysitter. You don't really, I mean, you hope they're doing a good job, but I mean, you just hope that they care. And so that's why you have to get to know them, and you have to they have to see your passion, and they have to see your why.
Yeah, as a CEO, founder, you're never going to find somebody that cares to the same level you do. That's got to be an ongoing challenge.
It's the number one challenge, but I know there's someone out there that can get up to 80 or, I mean, dream scenario 90. I mean, I know what's been put into this and the why behind it. I just want Alatura to reach levels where it can go as far as in the industry. The brands that I see, the Burt's Bees, the Paul Mitchell, the Lemaire, they all started out of necessity. There was a why to their initial movement, and which ultimately led to a founder story. And I feel like we're in a similar boat. In this, there was a need for this. There were, necessity is the mother of invention, and it led to something where, especially with the clay mask, which it just creates such an elation for me. You're just removing a lot of that congestion, not even outside of skincare, just making you opening up that nasal cavity, opening up that congestion around the T-zone, and it just, you feel brighter, you feel more awake for every, situation that you approach daily, personally and professionally. You can have a nice, I mean, I know what I'm getting every single time. And it's just such a part of my lifestyle that, I mean, the number one most important thing is just finding the people that not only believe in me and believe in the mission and of the brand, but just having that relentless work ethic to continue to pursue being a smaller staff business. And I mean, it takes a lot of work. So you have to have people that just will go to no end to bringing just all of our offerings to the public and our why, and just being there for you. So yeah, I mean, finding that level of energy to my 100 has been a challenge, but I know they're out there. And yeah.
Well, somebody who is so passionate, as we can clearly hear and see you are, and who is so on the ground, you getting your hands dirty, building this company, blood, sweat, and tears. How do you protect yourself through that whole process? And even today, against, pushing even that perfectionism, like you have so much drive in you. How do you prevent yourself from going too far and burning out?
I never thought that was possible until Q4 2020. We had such a rush. Our website went down for a few hours on Black Friday, and the influx of customer inquiries. It's one of those things where you feel it start to raise up a little bit as far as just the stress and the anxiety of just disappointing people and letting people down, letting customers down that want to take advantage of a good sale that we have going on, and just managing everything, managing supply chain, staying on top of copy for emails, writing those emails, staying on top of copy for ads, managing landing pages. I still do all of that. I'm telling you, Jesse, it's getting very hard. I don't want to say I'm burnt out, but it just comes down to a routine where, I mean, I'm talking every single day. The cold plunge, sauna, working out, intermittent fasting, between peptides, between therapy, between um, breath work. I take 2 to 3 cold showers a day. I mean, I do my best to control what I can control. You know, I I realize I may be doing some detriment to my health, but I just there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. I I'm curious if, and I pay attention. I have a lot of mentors, and there are a lot of people that I like to look up to, and that's how I get a lot of these mechanisms, like the breath work and the cold plunging and the cold thermogenesis combined with the infrared sauna and the red lights all day. I have things, but the number one thing that I have to do more of is taking time for myself. I have to, and that's why the traveling that I've done and the being around people that I connect with and that I love is so important, because it really does. You feel renewed coming back, and just with the hunger to pour that energy and that creative energy back into your work. But it's getting more difficult as we grow. But I mean, luckily, I mean, I'm okay with that, because I mean, you have to. I mean, I know it's cliche, but I mean, I really do love what I do, and it's so rewarding that really carries me through. But let's just put it this way: we're looking for some more help right now, and I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, but it can be draining, but there are mechanisms. There's a lot of technology out there, and the mind is a powerful thing. And sunsets and sunrises are very powerful things. Sunlight, very powerful. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's getting very hard.
Are you still into the bulletproof coffees?
Every morning, every morning.
What's the
Same
recipe
formula.
looking like these days?
So I have a blend of mushrooms, cordyceps, reishi, chaga, lion's mane, cayenne, Ceylon cinnamon, ghee. I go ghee now. Bulletproof brain octane, obviously bulletproof mentalist coffee. I don't know if you've tried their mentalist blend, but it's unreal. Um, and I think I'm missing something. A little bit of stevia, gelatinized maca, chocolate powder, blend it up. I'm telling you, unreal. The cayenne really, it sounds a little gnarly, but yeah, the cayenne kind of activates it a little bit. And
Is that the only thing you mentioned intermittent fasting earlier? Is that the only thing you're having until you break that fast?
yes, and the fast is getting, yeah, 18 to 20 hours. I mean, usually I would 16, 18, 18, 20, 22. I mean, because I would have probably, so say if I ate at 8 p.m., probably wouldn't eat until say 2, 3, or maybe 4. But now I'm going till 6, maybe even 8. I mean, because your body, it turns into a different source of energy if you just kind of ride it out past that noon. Do you intermittent fast?
I do. During the week I do. And it's
Okay.
it's constantly evolving. Right now I usually stop eating, I would say maybe 7 p.m. and then usually around noon the next day I'll have my first meal.
It's just, I mean, your body starts using fuel, burning that body fat as energy, and the cells start to clean themselves out. It's one of those things. It's just undeniable. For me, I'm not carrying around. I used to have these big breakfasts, go on this run, I go on a run and then eat this big breakfast. And then by 10, 11 a.m., you're just dragging. I have less in my stomach. My less energy is spent towards digesting my food, and I can just I'm lighter on my feet. I just feel much more locked in when I'm intermittent fasting.
And when you do break that fast, what does that look like?
Oh, well, let's see. Now I'm big on elk, beets, broccoli, avocado, fermented vegetables. I'm talking, I could eat that every single day. Yeah, that's my go-to meal right there.
Where do you get your elk?
So I have this butcher right down the street called the Butcher Block here in Henderson, Nevada, and yeah, that's where I go. But U.S. Wellness Meats is another good one that let's see, Butcher Box. What and they have a lot. There are a lot of really good wild exotic meat online stores that can send that just ship it to you overnight in dry ice. And so I used to do that, but luckily I have a good butcher right down the street from me right now. I mean, he has ground camel, he has ground camel, wagyu beef, elk, venison, wild boar. I mean, they have everything. So yeah,
Nice.
I got lucky.
And
Yeah.
and within that new narrow eating window, how many meals will you eat?
I mean, here's the thing, and I feel a little bit better about it now because I watched George St. Pierre. He's a UFC fighter on Joe Rogan, and I eat late. So say if I eat 6, I mean, and say if I'm still working, I'll have a little late night snack sometimes. So I'll switch it up with a little bit softer protein. I'll go eggs, always avocado, and maybe some Brussels sprouts after that. But that could be sometimes, 10, 11 sometimes. But I'll have one large meal and then a smaller one. So, but sometimes I'll skip that smaller one and just have that one large meal. And then supplement in between with things like collagen protein. It's just so rich in those amino acids and has a little bit of protein in it, which is debatable on whether or not that's absorbed as well as something like a whey protein. But I love it. I love the mineral density of it and also the amino acid profile and the collagen protein. So between that big meal and the collagen protein and staying mineralized with salt and also having my adaptogenic herb tonic, I I feel my blood is getting circulated from head to toe. I'm light on my feet and I'm nourished with the food that I eat, and so I'm good. But I'm also always seeking what other people are doing as well. So if you have any tips, I'm all ears.
Well, I want to keep picking your brain here a little bit. You talked about all the ingredients in that bulletproof coffee, the collagen. Is there any other specific supplements you take on a daily basis?
Yes. So I take uh, krill oil, curcumin max, a vitamin A, D, and K supplement, which is crucial right now. B12. I take an oyster capsule. I take like 10 of those because oysters are. I mean, there's just so much out there that I think is still like uh, unearthed as far as like what how rich oysters are in nutrients and yeah. So I have about 10 of those. They have O3 oyster, and so I have about 10 of those. I let's see what else. I'm big on gut health. I take a prebiotic and a probiotic from Bio Optimizers, and that's pretty much it right now. And then if I work out, I have a little bit of a amino acid tonic that I make with citrulline, arginine, glutamine, a little bit of salt, and schizandra and cordyceps before I go hit the gym. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm a little bit of a supplement geek, but hey, it just makes you feel better. I mean, it definitely does have an effect on my workouts and my performance, both physically and mentally. So yeah, I like it.
I love all this. What about organ meats? Do you take any organ capsules or do you incorporate organ meats into your meals?
Oh man, so in my fridge right now, I'm a big fan of bone broth. So I have a few pounds of bones in there with the marrow. I mean, always look for the ones with the thick marrow. I have I have veal brains, beef liver. Uh, I'm fascinated with organ meats. That's such a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, the stories of the pack of the wolves, the alpha of the pack. When they take out their prey, I mean, they'll go after the organ meats first: kidney, liver, brain, heart. and then the less the just leave the rest of it for the pack, as far as that. And so, I mean, there's something about just the highest nutrient density in things like liver. I mean, you can have U.S. Wellness Meats has this liverwurst, which actually they have a little coriander, cumin, sea salt, garlic, and some beef in there, so it makes it doesn't taste as bad as some people think liver does. I mean, believe me, liver is kind of a chore, especially if you are throwing it in your smoothie raw, like I did in 2011. But yeah, it's there are ways to make it taste great, and the feeling you feel after consuming liver is undeniable. I mean, would you agree? I mean, it just sets your levels. I mean, it is. I mean, from vitamin A, B, it's just full spectrum in my opinion. And I think, if you ever seen those studies comparing liver to vegetables, and as far as
No.
nutrient density, I mean, loaded in vitamin C as well. I mean, it's yeah, very, very mineral rich, and the nutrient density is something that yeah, I can definitely feel. So I try to eat that at least once a week. Organ meats. You don't want to go overboard on liver because of the vitamin A content, but yeah, at least once a week, I would recommend consuming liver. So good for you. And they have those liver pills. I'm not really sure how they compare. I like to eat beets rather than consume beet powder. I like to eat liver rather than consuming liver powder. I feel like it's different. So yeah, but that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up, because organ meats, I swear by. Bone broth too. I mean, just so healing, so nourishing. It just sets you to a different level. You can feel your body just absorbing all the nutrients inside of it.
And when it comes to specific foods for the skin, are there any recommendations or specific things you're making sure you get in on a daily basis? I mean, there's your products, which I use and love myself, and I'm sure we can all see and hear the passion about, the quality that you're putting into these, but that's from outside in. So when it comes to from inside out, what specifics can you recommend?
I would definitely recommend a good collagen protein, because the glycine, proline, and lysine, those are the three components of the building blocks in collagen. And so consuming that collagen protein, especially taking care of your skin from the outside, is just going to help build that thicker collagen layer during the collagen synthesis and cell turnover process. I would definitely recommend consuming collagen protein. A good amount of quality fats, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, avocado, good quality organic olive oil. I like Casandrinos; they're great. A blend of adaptogenic herbs to maintain that good circulation from head to toe. It just helps with the brightened complexion. Um, I feel like getting those stagnant capillaries moving from head to toe can help with appearance and skin health, overall skin health, and hair health as well. Adaptogenic herbs like Hoshu Wu, Schizandra, Spirulina, supplements like astaxanthin are great. Silica, Jarosil, silica drops, cell food is another great. I know I'm getting into the supplement. Okay, so as far as foods, mm, I always go back to the big fatty meats. I just swear by those good omega fats located in things like a good grass-fed, grass-finished ribeye. I strongly believe in a good consumption of animal fat, just to help maintain that the collagen and elastin and that good just thicker layer that can help fill out those minor wrinkles and crow's feet around the eye area and maintain a good supple appearance. Uh, Good fats are essential for that. Let's see what else. I would staying away from sugar. That's a big thing for me. Um, Mitigating alcohol, obviously not smoking cigarettes, staying away from grains, dairy, processed foods overall, just staying away from all. I mean, you just you want to just feed it just made so much sense to me in the beginning to just put so many superfoods in my system, so many nutrient dense supplements, foods. I mean, it's got to be broccoli. I mean, one of nature's highest sources of vitamin C, Brussels sprouts and broccoli right there. Beets, can help circulate some of those nutrients from head to toe. So if you combine those with, say, sweet potato, which is loaded in vitamin A, beta carotene, a little bit of vitamin C, and also a very high source of hyaluronic acid, which is a building block for nice supple skin as well. And so what you put into your body, and then also things like maintaining good gut health with fermented vegetables. I mean, kimchi, krauts, so important for that. Gut health is essential and so important for healthy skin. Um, I really like, yeah, I mean, just supplementing with probiotics and prebiotics is also very important. I get colonics probably once every 3 months just to maintain a good digestive tract. And obviously, the products are important. What you're putting on top of your skin. I mean, that's obviously one of the most important things. But diet goes hand in hand, and just staying on top of it. If you want to go to, if you have a sauna around you once a week, I'd recommend just to kind of change the oil and also tone the skin in the process. Those are those are probably my biggest tips for healthy skin, things you can control outside of the products.
A lot of great stuff in there. And what about hydration? What about water? I know you're drinking a carbonated beverage there. What does your hydration protocol look like?
Oh man, so I'm that's the thing. Gerolsteiner and Pellegrino. Number one, they come in glass bottles. The dissolved mineral particles, parts per million, located in specifically Pellegrino and Gerolsteiner is amazing. I mean, in this in milligrams per liter, total mineral content in this 25.3 ounce bottle, 2,500 milligrams per liter. 1,800 of them are bicarbonate. I mean, we have potassium, sodium, chloride, sulfate, magnesium. Pellegrino is just as mineral rich as well. I mean, I wouldn't Perrier, a little very low mineral content. I like to reintroduce minerals because as we age, we're depleted of them. And so you can supplement with minerals. Our body needs those minerals. It is vital for our health, definitely vital for our skin. And so I like to reintroduce those naturally. I mean, these are naturally derived minerals um, from spring water and a little bit of natural carbonation added. I swear by water. I mean, it's what we're composed of, right? And so we want to introduce. I mean, big thing, shower filter. Wherever you're located, absolutely get a shower filter. They have some good ones now that can help with the hard water. With actually, some of them even infuse a little vitamin C and other minerals as well. I use one from Aquasana that I like. But that's good just to help remove some of the heavy metals and obviously the chlorine that's just so damaging for hair and skin overall. But yeah, I swear by drinking Gerolsteiner and spring water in general.
Well, Andy, I really appreciate you just dropped so much knowledge on us there at the end, and your story is just so inspirational. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And I know you're offering the listeners a generous discount of 20% off by using the code Ultimate Health on your website. So thank you so much for that. And say there's a listener out there that is intrigued by hearing, the passion and these different amazing products that you're creating. Where would you recommend somebody start?
I would recommend starting with the clay mask, pearl cleanser, and gold serum. I would recommend cleansing and then using the clay mask and then following up with the gold serum and just staying consistent with that routine 3 times a week, using the cleanser daily, every other day using the clay mask, or every other 2 days using the clay mask. You're going to watch your skin and the stagnant capillaries in your face are going to become circulated around the T-zone, face, neck, décolleté. It's one of those things that brings so much blood flow to the surface of the skin. And then it has a mild exfoliating effect as well, and really just gets that cell turnover process started. And then you heal it with the gold serum, which is loaded in copper peptide, plant-derived vitamin A, which acts as a retinol alternative. We have other actives like CoQ10, astaxanthin, and marine collagen, and a blend of organic botanicals like frankincense and sandalwood, beeswax. It's just, I would recommend starting there. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a system. It's one of those things. I know what I'm getting every single time, and we look forward to how customers uh, feel about our products, and the collective response has been overwhelming in the best way. I love what I do, and I promise to stay the course.
Well, I've been loving your products for a long time. After going deep with you on the story and hearing that passion again and that perfection that you put into everything you do, I love them even more. And I want to thank you, Andy. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, Jesse, thank you for having me, man. It's an honor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.